NBC 10 News at 11.
Flooded roads are just one of the problems left by a major storm tonight. This is the scene at Chestnut Hill College in Philadelphia. The guard station flooded from heavy rains. Signs warn of the danger of driving through high water. The Wissahickon Creek is full to overflowing, and it's just one of many in our area. Good evening. I'm Lori Wilson. Kristen Welker is off tonight. There is still a flood warning up for our area. A nasty nor'easter brought strong winds and heavy rain to our already waterlogged region. Take a look at this torrent of water from the Wissahickon Creek in Manayunk. This is near Ridge Avenue. You can see it certainly doesn't need any more rain there. Our creeks and rivers filled to the brim. We have live NBC 10 team coverage of this flooding and the damage left by the storm. Rosemary Connors is live in Bucks County, while Claudia Rivero is in Atlantic City. But we're starting with meteorologist Dave Warren for the latest on this storm. We're going to get a break, Dave?
Yeah, well, we're getting a break from the rain right now. The heaviest rain came through today. That has moved out, but a lot of the creeks and streams continue to rise. A lot of that water that came down is working its way into the creeks and streams. They're expected to crest later tonight. Pretty much every creek and stream in this lighter green color under a flood warning. Flood watch in effect for the Lehigh Valley, and a coastal flood advisory expiring just about now right along the coast there as the high tide occurred a few hours ago, but that persistent east wind causing tidal flooding. Now, a break from the rain now, but we could see more later tonight. In fact, heavier rain and thunderstorms across the Delmarva here. Some of that rain moving into Sussex County. That will continue to move north. This heavy rain here across the Lehigh Valley pushing northeast. The heaviest rain that came through today, well, that's a line that moved all the way up through the Great Lakes. Here we are seeing a little break, but again, those creeks and streams, they continue to rise. They're cresting later tonight. Our temperatures, well, they're not dropping much. In fact, haven't moved much from our high, which was 50, down to 48 in Philadelphia, 49 degrees across Wilmington. Now, we did have a number of damage reports coming in from the wind today. Wind gusts from 40 to 50 miles an hour in the city, over 60 miles an hour right along the coast. But look at these current wind gusts. They're dropping a bit. It's still gusting between 20 and 30, but the wind will be diminishing tonight. We will look at some specific creeks and streams and river levels and tell you where the worst flooding is occurring with the Earthwatch forecast that's coming up later.
All right. Thanks so much, Dave. Of course, we're watching flooding, but also the wind. Hundreds of people in Atlantic City have been evacuated from their homes after strong winds caused a construction crane to collapse. NBC 10's Claudia Rivero is live on the scene. What's the latest, Claudia?
Good evening, Lori. The fog is so thick right now, it's really hard to see the construction site where this took place earlier this afternoon. But officials with emergency management say the crane is now secured. Crews will be back out here in the morning to continue their investigation. In the meantime, those folks who had to be evacuated won't be allowed to return to their apartments until further notice.
We had the police officers, and they came in, they knocked on the door.
Rob Singletary and his 85-year-old mother had only a few minutes to gather some personal belongings before they were forced to evacuate their apartment.
You just have to run around and get things that you need, essentials, underwear, toothbrush, toothpaste, deodorant, and let's go. They
and approximately 300 others were evacuated from 3 Atlantic City apartment buildings as a precaution this afternoon after strong winds caused one of the cranes at the nearby Rebel Hotel and Casino construction site to collapse.
I was scared because I thought it was something that was going on with our building, not next door. I didn't know what's going on.
The crane from the experts on the scene was rated for 120 mile an hour winds, and it came down. So you can tell you what kind of winds we had.
There were no crews working at the time, only a few security officers. No one was injured. And it wasn't the only damage left behind by the storm. This house in the 1800 block of Arctic Avenue came crashing down. This other one will have to be demolished. Both were in the process of being remodeled.
Strongest winds I've ever seen here. I've lived here my whole life.
For now, the Red Cross has set up a shelter at the Atlantic City Convention Center. It could be a couple days before the evacuees will be allowed to go home.
I wouldn't say scared, but uneasy, yes.
Everything seems to be fine, so thank God that no one was hurt.
And we hear that there was one police officer who did suffer some very minor injuries from some of the falling debris. But again, officials here say the situation could certainly have been a lot worse. Live in Atlantic City, Claudia Rivero, NBC 10 News.
All right. Thank you, Claudia. Here in Pennsylvania, people are also keeping an eye on swollen rivers and creeks. NBC 10's Rosemary Connors is live in Yardley Borough, Bucks County, which is no stranger to flooding. Good evening, Rosemary.
Good evening, Lori. That's right. Many folks here are expecting the inevitable flooding. In fact, some have moved to higher ground overnight. Meantime, others in the area have already gotten a taste of how wicked this weather can be.
Don't let Mother Nature fool you.
It was a close call for the driver of this car on River Road in Yardley. Police say after the tree crashed, the driver managed to get out okay, but this storm nearly cost him his life.
Conditions out here are very hazardous tonight. Obviously, the winds have calmed down at this point in time, but the ground is just totally saturated.
Earlier in the day in Germantown, it was a similar scene, although these cars were parked.
Just sitting in the living room, minding our own business, and it sounded, the whole house shook.
And this beautiful tree just fell.
On the 6900 block of City Avenue, tree limbs blocked traffic, but that was nothing compared to the power outages back in Yardley, plus the threat of the Delaware River there.
I pretty much evacuated everything close to the river's edge and just waiting to see how close it comes to the house.
It's also a wait and see with the weather this season. Many insist we're not out of the woods yet.
I think we still got a long way to go. We still have to get through the rest of the month of March. Sometimes April, you never know. They could throw a curveball at us.
Let's hope not. We did some checking with PECO. In Bucks County as a whole, about 35,000 people are still without power. That's an improvement, though, of about 10,000 customers from earlier this evening. Where we are in Yardley, less than 100 people are without power. In Lower Makefield Township, about 2,300 people. Reporting live in Yardley Borough, I'm Rosemary Connors, NBC 10 News.
All right, thank you, Rosemary. The downed trees causing lots of damage to power lines, which means thousands in our area are without electricity tonight. PECO reporting 69,000 homes in the dark. In South Jersey, more than 49,000. Those are mostly in Atlantic and Burlington counties. And in Delaware, Delmarva reports 448 homes without power. We'll just look at this mess for drivers in Gloucester City earlier today. The heavy rain flooded Broad and King streets. And although some people took a risk, several drivers were forced to turn around to avoid getting stuck in those high waters. Some drivers actually did get stuck when Columbus Boulevard in South Philadelphia was flooded. Look at this. The section between Dock Street and Spring Garden was actually shut down earlier today. One driver took a chance, tried to make it through. You see what happened there. He had to be rescued by a police truck and pushed through. Well, you can get the latest weather alerts delivered right to your mobile phone. Just text PHI Weather to 639-710 to sign up. And remember, standard messaging rates do apply. Be sure to stay with NBC 10 News for continuing coverage. Dave is going to be back in just a few minutes with your full forecast for the rest of the weekend and, of course, next week. And for weather information 24 hours a day, go to NBCPhiladelphia.com. Coming up, we've got some new developments in the Jihad Jane case. Also ahead, sweeping changes planned for our nation's schools. See what President Obama wants to do with the No Child Left